Verizon Wireless remains America's fastest mobile network by a nose in our closest fastest mobile networks race ever. In our tests across the U.S., Verizon offered the most reliable and consistent high-speed network overall, but split individual wins for 36 cities and rural regions 3 ways with AT&T and T-Mobile, the first time we've seen that kind of an even divide. It's clear that all 3 carriers are pushing hard to improve their networks. Depending on where you live, they're all great choices. While Verizon is the fastest mobile network overall, AT&T has the fastest average download speeds in the nation, and T-Mobile can cost less than Verizon while offering very close to the same performance. For our 8th annual test, we spent most of May driving within and between 30 cities, with Samsung Galaxy S8 phones continually running speed tests based on a customized version of Ooklay's SpeedTest.net software. Note: Ooklay is owned by Ziff Davis, PCMag.com's parent company. We collected more than 124,000 data points, and then balanced downloads, uploads, latency, and reliability to create our speed score. AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon all offer strong performance this year, but they don't each offer strong performance everywhere. For example, AT&T is weak in New York City but strong in Indianapolis, while T-Mobile is the other way around. So it's important to check our individual city pages if you're making a carrier choice. Sprint seems to have hit a roadblock after vaulting hugely forward between 2015 and 2016. While we saw the same spectacular peak speeds on Sprint that we got on the other carriers, they were far less consistent. Sprint's speeds would shoot up and then plummet within cities more often than other carriers, creating lower averages. Editor's note: July 12, 2017, this story is based on a snapshot of network performance from our testing period, May 1 to 23. Networks and devices can, will, and should change over time. For example, Sprint is now pushing a firmware update which improves download speeds on its Galaxy S8 phones by up to 20%, and AT&T this week announced an upgrade to its network in Indianapolis and Austin. All carriers are the Big Four. We test the 4 big, nationwide carriers, but these results also apply to most of the other brands available in the US. That's because most other big names except for US Cellular, which runs its own, predominantly rural network, just borrow and rename one of these networks. For instance, Cricket is AT&T, Metro PCS is T-Mobile, Virgin and Boost are Sprint, and Google Fi is a mix of Sprint, T-Mobile, and US Cellular. TracFone can be any one of the 4 major networks depending on what kind of SIM card you have. If you aren't using one of the big brands, you may not get top speeds. For instance, Verizon throttles other brands' customers to 5 Mbps. But our study's data on reliability and latency will still apply. For more on which low-cost brands use which networks, see our story, The Best Cheap Cell Phone Plans You've Never Heard of. 8 years of faster networks. When we started fastest mobile networks, the speeds we're seeing today were absolutely unheard of. Fastest Mobile Networks 2010 was our first report, and at the time, Verizon was running a slow 3G data network. Sprint was on WiMAX, a now obsolete technology that claimed to be 4G, but ended up as a dead end. No carrier averaged over 5 Mbps. Verizon introduced LTE by 2011. AT&T followed a year later, and then T-Mobile and Sprint did the same. But speed increases weren't steady. AT&T's network plummeted under heavy load in 2013, with Verizon's network suffering the year after. The leaps and bounds we've seen over the past few years show no sign of stopping. Looking at the maximum download speeds, it looks like there's a 2x jump every 2 years or so, from 50, 60 Mbps in 2014, to 120 Mbps in 2016, and now to 200 Mbps.